on January the 24th. Our church celebrates the feast day of St Paphserios, Theodotian and Paul. The following are some details on their life and works. The three brothers, the sons of hard-working parents who could barely eke out a livelihood from the unyielding soil, were born in the area of Egypt now known as the Suez. What little gains they made with their small herds and sparse gardens were methodically taken from them by the tax collectors, who made certain they could accumulate the wealth from those whose small bribes made them virtually tax-exempt. The wealth of Egypt in those days was concentrated in the hands of the royalty, corrupt merchants and tradesmen, and as the rich got richer, the poor got poorer. The brothers laboured from early childhood to keep the family from starvation, but never lost heart, clinging to the hope that somehow their lot would be improved. They were also aided by a strong Christian spirit, imbued by parents who never ceased to be thankful for their meagre fare, and were sustained by faith in Jesus Christ. Of the three, the most defiant was Theodotian, who railed at the misery forced upon them by an oppressive state and an insensitive aristocracy. The other two were more resigned to their fate, and much more devout. As a result, instead of resentment, they felt closer to the Saviour, and often voiced a desire to serve him to a greater degree. When the parents died, the three sons decided to give up this harsh living, but for different purposes. Paphserios and Paul answered the call to serve Jesus Christ as monks, but no amount of persuasion could convince their brother Theodotian to do the same. While his brothers went off to the sanctuary of a monastery, Theodotian took to the hills for a far different purpose, seeking not the company of monks, but the company of outlaws whom he sought to join, but only for the purpose of robbing the rich to give to the poor of his class. Paphserios and Paul entered a monastery, and over a period of years became devout servants of the Lord, servants who would venture forth from time to time to offer spiritual assistance to Christians who dared not hold services publicly for fear of being caught up in a wave of state persecution. Wherever they went, they heard of the daring and resourcefulness of a bold highwayman named Theodotian, who would rob tradesmen and merchants while managing to elude every trap set for him. Theodotian was doing more for the poor than his devout brothers were, but not in the same improving manner that the Lord intended the poor to be helped. Theodotian was in his hideout planning his next raid, when word came to him that his brothers had been taken prisoner to stand trial for their Christianity, a trial which could have but one outcome. He made for the city in which the tribunal was to sit in judgment, and disguising himself he walked about to see what he could do to effect his brother's release or escape. It was not as easy as robbing a caravan. The distraught Theodotian went to the trial to see what judgment would be passed on his brothers, but as he looked about he realized the hopelessness of the situation. When Paphserios and Paul were brought forward, Theodotian could hardly restrain himself from rushing forward to acknowledge them in an embrace, but for the moment he sat still, anguished at the sight of his beloved brothers being at the mercy of a merciless tribunal. There was the usual reading of the charges, after which the chief magistrate railed at the brothers, elaborating them with abusive language and condemning them to death. At this point Theodotian charged forward and embraced his brothers, turning to identify himself and berating the onlookers as fools. He joined his brothers in death, but somehow it is felt that he was forgiven, as was the thief alongside the Saviour on the cross. All three brothers share a commemoration on January the 24th.